Hello and welcome. I have introduced the short series that I'm going to discuss reading, right? And I promise that I'm going to talk about 5 different books. That's what I'm going to do in this video. Follow me carefully. I'm going to talk about the African child. If you have read any interviews by me or, Top Shows Productions platform, you probably have seen some discussions of the African child and what it has done in my life. I have, in interviews, other fora, in writing, I've mentioned the fact that that was the book that actually made me to go into writing. So let it not surprise you that it is the first I'm going to talk about. The African Child is Camara Laye's novel. Camara Laye comes from, I think it's Equatorial Guinea. And that's a book I read like 55 years ago. That's quite a long time. But you can see that it has lived with me. Now, this is what is interesting about the book and how it has impacted on my life. First of all, it's the fact that it is about an African child. It is an autobiography of sorts. And it's the life of a child that almost exactly resembles or reflects my own life. Yes, he was born many years before me because I was reading this book when I was just about maybe 15, 16, thereabouts. So, of course, and he had become a well-published writer, so he was quite older than me. Now, but it is about a polygamous family, number one. I come from a polygamous family too. His father had 2 wives. Well, my father in his life had 7 wives. At the time I was reading, my father had 5 wives. The difference is that his father was a Muslim, or their family was Muslim family. My family was traditional family. Hello viewer. A couple of times on my video, I have mentioned my forthcoming textbook on creative writing. The book is now available and you can order if you are in Nigeria or somewhere around Nigeria. You can order by calling any of the numbers below. And if you're outside Nigeria, you can get it on Amazon through the links. Thank you. So I was reading this book as a secondary school student, right? And at that time, we still had some vestiges of colonialism around. And coming from a polygamous background was a bit difficult because you were amongst students or people who were looking at you as, as some pagan boy or, some, either pagan or bush boy or whatever. The preachings then, people were growing up with was having more than one wife was a sin or was a sign of paganism or whatever. And so I wasn't in a very comfortable situation until I read Camara Laye's The African Child. And reading that book, number one, was the fact that somebody had the guts and the courage to tell his story. And he wasn't giving a damn, whether, whose ox is God wasn't his business. It was a beautiful story to tell. He loved the way he grew up in his polygamous Muslim family. And so I told myself, yeah, okay. no matter what, let people go to hell, whatever they think. I should also start a story about my polygamous pagan home. Of course, I didn't think my parents were pagans. They knew God anyway, so come to think of it, as Achebe would say, I had known the story of God long, long, long before I even got to secondary school. So for me, it wasn't a problem. I really decided that I was going to write a story about a polygamous home and promote the beautiful background within which I grew. And I actually did the first draft of the novel, although I didn't finish it. And I never got back to it. I don't even know whether it still exists somewhere. I've always told this story. So that is one of the main things that Camara Laye's novel brought to me. But then the common factor is the love of family. The first thing that brought us together, Camara Laye and I, and his father and my father, is blacksmithing. His father was a blacksmith, my father was a blacksmith, and I was my father's bellows boy every time any time I was back home from school. But then that's just by the way. The main thing, what I would discuss as a theme or share with you as a theme is the fact that living in a family, a polygamous family that lives in harmony, that grows in harmony, that you find no division, it's something wonderful. You see, in life, everyone loves to grow up in a beautiful family. You love to be loved. You love to have company. You love to have community around you, right? It's a very, very important. Love is a theme in many stories. Growing up is a theme. In fact, there is a main theme in literature known as coming of age, stories, right? So Camara Laye and myself were within that age. And the kind of things that you learn that build you up as an adult is the way the family props you to bring you up, and the wisdom you learn from your mothers when you have more than one, from your senior siblings, junior ones, and all of the experiences you go through, like going to shepherd goats, going to the farm, going to fetch water. All of those things are things that, build community within a family. And those were the things that Camara Laye, expressed in that novel about himself as he grew up. What is perhaps the most interesting for me in that novel and the connection between me and Camara Laye is the fact that each one of us grew up within this family, and at some point we had to leave home. Now that's where pain and sorrows come in. He had to leave home, I had to leave home. Well, he left home for a further distance. He left for France. I left my village life and came to Jos, where I've lived my life all through from that point. Now, but you see, when you leave home, you leave that love that surrounds you, and loneliness sets in, pain sets in. Of course, you begin to have new friends, but the thought of your mother, the thought of your father, the thought of your siblings, the thought of your friends whom you go hunting with, whom you go shepherd, there's so many things that begin to make you feel the pain of leaving home. And for quite a long time, I was experiencing that. And then I just imagined, on seeing this novel that I had read, that reflected almost everything that I was going through at that point, just made me Oh, really? So first of all, this is my kind of life. And secondly, this is from Africa. And the environment is very much like my own. You know, if you read that book, if you have lived in a rural area before, or you are living in a rural area, read that novel and you will have every bit of your upbringing, your little boy or little girl life come back to you. And the kind of nostalgia that you are going to feel, okay, it's going to be really, really heavy. But the point is, yes, but you learn to grow through it, grow up and leave it behind. But it is always good to go back to it, because the past, without the past, you can't live in the present, and you can't think through to the future and want to plot a future that will be beautiful, that will be meaningful, okay? Our lives today and tomorrow are based on our lives yesterday. And our lives yesterday are built by the kind of community in which we have been raised. Family is number one community, and the love of family is supreme. That's what I learned from that book. Thank you.